On the books, end of the week, Friday. Yay, yay, yay. So good morning. So I'm wearing a sweater today because it is so cold in Arizona. Anyone else out there in Arizona? I know that all of you that are in the snow are going to say, whatever, Pingle, but I'm telling you, when the desert gets cold, it is so cold. And it's because there is literally no humidity. So like what looks like, you probably look at the weather and say, oh, it's only 40 degrees or 37 degrees or whatever. Nah, no big deal. But it is so just ice cold because there's no warmth. There's nothing. And so I'm over here freezing. Poor little piggy has been under the warm blanket. She doesn't want to get out of bed in the morning. She's sleeping over here now and totally not into it. It is really cold. I'm waiting for our weather to come back. I would say if you ever want to visit Phoenix area, don't come in January. Ooh, come in March. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone? I see everyone joining in on Instagram. I am also live on Facebook. Hi, Naya, and YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you are there, please say hello. I don't think LinkedIn can comment, so sorry about that, just the way the streaming works. But it is another Friday on the books of 2024. How is everyone today? You guys have any particular topics popping up? I want to open with something, just kind of what I've talked to my patients a lot about this week. And this seems to be a pretty common theme. So I want to know if this rings true for you guys. I've talked to quite a few 40-something women in the past week, and they're all saying the same thing. They're like, their anxiety is off the hook. They're feeling on edge. They're feeling anxious. They're like finding themselves not, like worrying about things that they know in their head they shouldn't worry about. Like, for example, you make a mammogram appointment, you go get the mammogram, you're waiting for the results. And the whole time it's like doomsday. Like, oh, I know they're going to be bad. Oh, I know it's not going to be okay. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with the children? Do I have my will done? And it just goes down this path. You too? Yeah, I've heard this. And we had some great conversations this week about how we are so inundated with stuff and information. And we're getting all these commercials, 1 in 3 women will get breast cancer. Does your child have ADHD? This virus is a triple whammy. Like all we get is this doomsday type health news, right? And making us seem in some respects that we have control over it. And let me be clear on that. You have control over the choices you make throughout a day. You have a choice whether you eat well or not, right? You have a choice whether you do something for yourself, take care of yourself, exercise or not. But you really don't necessarily have control over when you die, right? Naturally, right? We really don't know. And this is where a lot of trust of the universe comes in. So when we're trying to do these preventative things like mammograms and eating right to avoid cancer or whatnot, we really don't know if we were going to get cancer in the first place. We just don't know, right? And so we tend to worry about stuff that's literally out of our control, and that's starting to drive us crazy. Would you guys agree? 100%, 74 and chilling. Same, yeah, okay, right? I have Naya over here saying, I'm 47, and over the past couple of months, I've finally gotten my anxiety under control. I feel so great now. Yeah, me too. I don't have that doomsday per se. I mean, my son is starting to drive. So like, I keep thinking, oh God, is he going to make it home okay? And then I have to catch myself and say, look, you have no control over it. All you can do is teach him how to drive well, teach him how to make decisions. And then it's pretty much out of my hands at that point. That's all I can do. Right. And I think we get so worried about the negative that's going to happen. And there's a real mindset shift that we have to do. And I do see this very commonly in women in our 40s, especially busy women. Right. So we really have to get a handle on the fact that bad things will happen, but there aren't necessarily bad in the long run, right? There's always a lesson from it. There's always a growth. There's always something. It's our path. And we need to take control over taking care of ourselves and prioritizing ourselves. I actually had a colleague say something pretty amazing, and I'm not going to quote her perfectly. I'm sorry, but it was Dr. Jen Simmons, and I was watching her, good friend of mine. She is a breast cancer expert, and she was doing an interview, and she said that health doesn't happen in a doctor's office. Health doesn't happen in a hospital. Health happens at home. The choices that you make, right? are what help benefit your health. But then out of that, we don't have any control over it, right? The doctor can't make you healthy. You have to make yourself healthy. And healthy is, how are you today? And are you able to do what you need to do today? Like, are you feeling good today in the event that tomorrow doesn't happen, right? And that's okay. Someday tomorrow won't happen, but we don't know when that is. Does that make sense? So anyone else relate to that? Feeling just more buzz and anxiety and going through this and like, what the heck, man? Anyone else? Gratitude is so important. So true. It's so important, right? And one of the things that I really try to do is when something happens to me, and guys, there's been a lot throughout my life. I need to start sharing my stories more about me with you guys. I need to be more vulnerable with you. I know that. Okay. And I will. But when I look at what I've gone through and things that devastated me, that knocked me down, in the moment, it was awful. But as I look back, it had to happen because it opened a door in a different place for me to take that I would have never, ever, ever, ever taken before. And so I didn't have control over it, and for so long you have this guilt. I'm a doctor. Could I have saved my dad? Could I have saved my mom? Could I have saved my grandparents? Could I have made their lives more enriched? What if I just would have? What if I would have done it this way? What if I would have done it that way? Would it be different? And I'd love to think it was, but it won't. Now, maybe it would have prolonged my mom's life a little bit, or maybe it would have shortened it with more quality though. Like, I would rather have a shorter life with more quality of life than a longer life of illness. Anyone else? So that is why I make choices for myself. That's why health starts at home. We don't know how long we have. So I'm going to be as healthy as I can today. And tomorrow is tomorrow. Who knows? Right? I had a question on this topic over on Instagram. Suggestions to control and release the stress. Yeah, it comes down to mindset. It comes down to not looking at stress as necessarily a bad thing or a horrible thing that's happening to you. It's prioritizing you, setting boundaries, and reframing the things that are ticking you off and setting off your nervous system, right? We all have those things, those rants, those things that just, they just bother us, right? And they get us all going. Maybe there's just a personality you work with and they just drive you crazy, right? But sometimes by looking at it from their perspective, from their personality traits, you're like, oh, I get it. It's not really directed at me. They're just going through that. Like, I'm going to be more compassionate to that. That must be really hard for them, right? Like, recognizing that people are very in their own body. They're not trying to be bitchy with you. They're just maybe having a bad day, or maybe there's something going on. And sometimes just turning them saying, and hey, what's going on with you? How can I help you? I mean, those types of things can be really powerful, right? And in a world of social media and people showing up as their best selves online, when behind the scenes they're crying and committing suicide and going through things like, you know what I mean? We're living kind of in this false reality, kind of like a video game, right? We're kind of living in our own video game, and our kids are growing up in that. And so we're having a lot of health problems with them too. So where does health start? Health starts at home. So thank you, Jen Simmons, because Dr. Jen Simmons, that was brilliant. I cannot take credit for that. That was an absolutely brilliant quote. I'll have to tag her below. If you guys don't follow her, you absolutely should, particularly if you're looking for alternatives for breast cancer screening and breast cancer. She's an amazing, amazing soul with so much love to give back to the community. So shout out to you, Dr. Jen Simmons. Thank you for that quote. It was wonderful. Great interview. I see. Hi, lots of people joining in on Instagram. Nice to see you all. Good evening. Where are you from? Oh, India. Yes. Can cortisol be high but not know your stress? Yes, absolutely. Any of you just on autopilot? You drive home from work and you don't remember how you got home? You just end up home? Any of you just get things done and just get through your day and then go to sleep and just don't even think about it? Like, there's a stage 1 adrenal fatigue, guys, where we're just bing, 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 bing all day long. And we feel great because we can get through it. And then stage 2 is when we start to notice some symptoms. So we start to have some days where we're good, some days where we're not, some hours where we're good, some hours where we're not, some symptoms that may come and some symptoms may go away, up and down. When we hit that stage 2, that's where most of you come to me asking for help because you're like, am I going crazy? Am I in menopause? Am I having anxiety attacks? Like, what is going on? And you're searching a diagnosis when the root cause is actually from us just being so freaking amazing, right? And pushing ourselves in this overstimulation. So you can absolutely have impacted cortisol levels and not know. In fact, I think we've adapted to that so well. Survival of the fittest. We adapt to the environment. Our environment is bing, 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 bzz, bing, bing, blah, 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 blah. Let's do 8 different things at one time. We're adapting to that to where it's become normal. Stress has become normal. Anyone else agree with that? If you agree with that, give me a heads up or a thumbs up or a heart or a yes ma'am, or I hear you. I'm with you. Keep going, Pingle. Yes. We have normalized stress completely to where we don't even know that we are. And in that, we're having hormone changes, thyroid problems, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, wrinkles, hair loss, fatigue, right? We're having immune system issues. We're getting sick all the time. We always have a cold. We have tons of allergies. We're like, geez, where'd this come from? We're bloated after we eat, and we're getting thrown all these medications. Why is everyone given an acid blocker these days? Why? Why are we blocking acid? That's ridiculous. Why do we have acid problems in the first place? Stress. What causes an ulcer? Anyone relate ulcers to stress? Like when you hear the word ulcer, you think, oh, that's stress. Almost all of us, right? Why would stress cause an ulcer? Because it increases your stomach acid, right? There's a stomach acid issue. So why do we think that stress wouldn't cause heartburn, right? Yet then we block it. Not cool, right? Good day from LinkedIn. All right. I think you're on YouTube, Steve, but still, I love that. It has taken a few years to get my anxiety under control. It's truly a mindset shift, right? Steve calls that shaping trauma. I think that's a great way to look at all of us have trauma, guys. Nobody's trauma-free. One of my biggest traumas that I've had to overcome over the years was when I must have been like maybe 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. I think I had strep throat. And I went to the doctor and they wanted to draw my blood and they wanted to give me a shot of penicillin. And they wouldn't tell me what they were going to do. They just hold still, Trisha. I said, whoa. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just tell me what you're going to do. Don't. And they wouldn't. And I had 4 nurses. I had 2 ladies hold my feet down, 2 women hold my arms down, and they came at me with a needle. And ever since that day, I was petrified of needles. Like when I went to medical school and they were like, okay, we're in phlebotomy class. And I had done phlebotomy before because I was in veterinary medicine. So I learned how to draw blood on little kitty cats and dogs and horses and all sorts of stuff. So when I went to med school, I was pretty proficient in phlebotomy. But one of the requirements is they said, well, you have to let other people practice on you. And I said, there's absolutely no way. Like nobody is touching my veins. Like, no, I'm not. And I mean, it was a big issue. And that is something that I've had to face and I've had to learn. When I became pregnant, I had to get my blood drawn. As I've gotten older and I realize how important it is to screen certain things, I've had to learn how to do that. In the past 3 years, I've had multiple IVs and I've done great with them because I changed my mindset around the trauma. I did know what they were going to do. So what I told my phlebotomist is I said, I need you to tell me every single step. When are you going to insert the needle? How much longer do we have? Are we in the vein? Are we okay? Can we remove the tourniquet? I said, I want you to talk through the entire thing. And I found when someone talked through the whole entire thing, I was okay, right? Because the trauma was about somebody not telling me what's going on, right? So in life, when I don't know what's going on, when people are hiding things from me and not being transparent with me or honest with me, it really ticks me off. Interesting, right? Is it related? Maybe, right? I'm a very transparent person. I tell my patients everything. All my patients can account to that. If I'm drawing your blood, I will tell you exactly, or I will ask you, how do you want this to be done? How does this be? How are you more comfortable? Or do you want to talk? Or are you a quiet person? Do you want me to pull things out of you, or should I just let you go? Like learning people's personalities. And I think that's really important. I've, as Steve said, shaped the trauma into something that works for me. Does that relate to anyone? Brian says, health and shift work. Flip 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every 2 weeks. Health and shift work. Oh, so you're working like 12-hour shifts and having to change it. That's really hard on the cortisol levels. It's really hard. It's doable, but it's really difficult. And it takes a lot more emotional balance and mindset work. Naya values transparency in all things. Me too. I'd rather have someone just be blunt, to be honest. It's nice when they're kind, though. Like, I feel like you can be blunt and you don't have to be mean. You can be like, hey, let's talk about this. Like, I'm being totally open about it. You can smile. You don't have to be mean about it. But then again, some people just have different personalities, right? How are we doing over on Instagram here? You guys are kind of quiet. Did I lose you? Didn't like the rant? No, I do think it's really important. And I think because I'm hearing this so much from my patient database, particularly since November, December, I think it's an important point. I think a lot of people are going to this, and I don't doubt that men are too. I've just talked to a couple women recently, and it's just like, what is going on? Like, and they're like, this is coming out of nowhere. And I'm like, but it's not really. This is stage 1 adrenal fatigue moving into stage 2. Right? This has been going on a long time. But here's the problem, guys. When you're in stage 1, when that cortisol is just flying, you don't take the time to do anything about it. Or you just go, I'll just meditate a little bit. Whatever. And you kind of keep going. And then all of a sudden it feels like it hits you like a ton of bricks. And people feel like it came out of nowhere. I hear that all the time. The symptom came out of nowhere. It didn't. But we can fix it. You just have to go back to being very strategic about it, very mindful about it, and realizing that this is rooted many, many, many years ago. And so we have to basically change our behavior. Health starts at home. I have a question from Aaron. Do you know any essential oils that help warm the body in the cold? Maybe ginger oil or cayenne? Yes, absolutely. Ginger is warming. Cayenne is warming. Clove. If you're looking for ones to diffuse in the air, I use things like On Guard from doTERRA, which is kind of a combination of that. It's like cinnamon, clove, I think thyme. I can't remember what all's in it. Those are great. You can actually buy Ayurvedic oils. So in Ayurvedic medicine, if you are Vata, you are cold all the time. So they have a lot of massage oils and soaps and lotions and things like that have more of those warming herbs in there. I'm a Vata, so I'm cold all the time. Like I'm freezing right now in Phoenix. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. And my hands are like literally so cold. So I have a massage oil that has those herbs in it. And I also tend to eat a lot of Indian food that have a lot of those warming herbs in them. I use more cayenne, more cinnamon, more cardamom, clove. So yeah, absolutely. You're on the right track with that. Ginger. I eat ginger almost every day for my gut health, but also to keep me nice and warm. Right? Any more questions out there? For those of you that are new here, I know I'm just kind of ranting and going off. I'm passing time so that you guys can figure out what questions you want to ask. So if you want to start popping some questions in, please do so. I will give you guys an announcement. I noticed yesterday there's quite a few of you out there that are on my wait list for the Total Energy Turnaround Program, waiting to hear when the next round is going to be. This is my 12-week group program. I show up to the live Q&As just for that group. Very supportive group, goes through lifestyle changes, including nutrition plan, exercise plan. We talk a lot about supplements and when to use them, and mindset shifts, which is what we're talking about here. We learn all of that with live support from me, support from an accountability coach, support from each other over a course of 12 weeks. This is an at-home program. The kickoff date will be April 1st. So the next round will start April 1st and run through June. We will start promoting it the end of February. So for those of you that are on the wait list, you'll get the first email out, the first opportunity to buy. There are limited spots. So just for you guys that were waiting and you want to put it on your calendar, it starts April 1st. So I'm way excited. Finally picked a date, debating on when to start it, but I think April 1st is good. And I'm going to do some other things in March as well, just for learning more about it, so that you can learn more about it and see if it's a right fit for you. Also, another announcement, I have one spot available in February for my concierge one-on-one. So if you have been wanting to work one-on-one with me, maybe we've met in the past, it wasn't the right time. And now you're like, you know what? I'm in. Like, this anxiety is driving me crazy or whatever. Please go to the website and apply. If I've spoken to you before, I'd still love to speak to you again, just to kind of go through it and make sure we're all good on the same page. You can either reapply or you can respond to me because you've previously replied. You can shoot me an email. So yeah, cool. So there's some announcements and I see some questions coming in and I love it. Okay, good. I really hope to see all of you in the Total Energy Turnaround Program. Many of you out there that are live today, I can see you out there have done it, had a great experience with it, we got to start by just cleaning stuff up so we can figure out what's wrong, right? So all of my one-on-one clients basically go through the Total Energy Turnaround Program, and often they go through it with you because they have an option to do that. It's kind of the foundational of treating stress and changing the way that you look at stress. All right. I wanted to check any advice for people with ankylosing spondylitis. Well, it's autoimmune, right? So anything autoimmune is going to benefit from really getting a good look at the adrenals, because the adrenal glands highly linked to every autoimmune condition. In fact, the statistics are most people who are diagnosed with autoimmunity, I think it was like 80% or something, had just had a recently stressful event, pretty significant stressful event. So there is a very strong correlation there. So looking at my 4 pillars of managing stress will also attack the other issues. The nutrition portion would be more anti-inflammatory diet, clean foods, nutritionally dense foods. That's what I care about. Are you putting nutrition in your body when you eat? Does it give you any value, right? That's what I care about. And, people go, oh, are you all vegan? Are you meat? Are you keto? Are you paleo? I don't know. What does your body need? Where are you deficient and what do you need, right? That's what I'm more interested in. Exercise to balance the parasympathetic. So I do talk a lot about that in my program, my book, but things like going upside down, yoga, Pilates, those types of things, breath work is part of exercise. I know you guys may not think of breath work as exercise, but it absolutely is. That's a muscle, diaphragm, right? And when you move the diaphragm up and down, it pulls on the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve actually calms your body. So that's why when you're having a panic attack, people say breathe. But we don't always understand that. We think maybe it's the oxygen. No, it's the way that you breathe. It's the way you move your diaphragm. So it's not as simple as, that's not going to do anything. There's certain breath work and exercises that have to be ingrained in the body to pull on that vagus nerve to actually physiologically calm you down. So that's really important also in autoimmunity. Supplements. In autoimmunity, there's a lot of anti-inflammatory based supplements, a lot of gut supplements. Definitely have to investigate the adrenal and the gut in autoimmune conditions. And then obviously the mindset type shifts, looking at ways to reframe the stress so that external stress doesn't impact you internally. Does that make sense? External stress does not impact you internally. That's a boundary thing. That's an energy block thing. Hey, nope. You're not allowed to impact my internal energy. Nope. Right? I'll help you. I'm here. I'm working on the team with you, whatever, but you're not allowed to block it. So a lot of people, when they go to work or they're working with their families or whatever, they let everyone else's energy impact their own. And there's a point where you just have to say, no, that's your issue, not mine. Right? Really, really important. And then any specifics beyond that would be more specific to your particular health history, the symptoms that you're having and things like that. But those are always a good general start. Steve's asked, let's see, I've got one from Brian Lewis, advice on sugar intolerance. When you say sugar intolerance, what exactly do you mean, right? We all have to have, quote, sugar. And so are you talking carbohydrates or are you talking white sugar? Are you talking sucrose, fructose, right? There are a lot of people who have a fructose intolerance, which is fine because we don't need to eat fructose. It's not required. But if you have a sugar intolerance, can you have a sweet potato? Right? Most of the time you can. It's a different type of sugar, right? So I'm not sure what you mean by sugar intolerance. If you could clarify a little bit on your exact question, that would be awesome, right? Are we talking diabetes? Are we talking food allergy? Are we talking white sugars? Are we talking carbohydrates? What are we talking? And then I can try to give you a more pointed answer. I'll look back in a second. Steve, have you seen those foot pads that claim to draw out toxins while you sleep? Snake oil or something to consider? I'll be honest with you, Steve, I have absolutely no idea. I watch that all the time and I'm like, To me, it seems odd. Yet at the same time, I've had so many people that say they feel better when they do them. I don't think it's harmful. I'm not really sure how do you prove if they're doing benefits or not? I mean, in order to prove it, you would have to do some sort of toxic screen, right? And then you would have to put on the foot pads, and then you would have to take them off, and then you'd have to do another toxic screen to see if they really do move to be toxins. We know they get dirty. I just don't know, like, is that removing toxins? I don't know. I'd have to do a clinical experiment. We should do a clinical experiment. Let's do it. That's fun. I love all the hearts. What's this for? Where's that love coming from? I feel it. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Do you have any thoughts on red light therapy for painful joints? People hear, oh my God, tons of people use red light therapy for painful joints. Also over the abdomen to help improve serotonin. So when you're looking at people with like fibromyalgia, painful muscles and like system-wise type pain, benefiting the gut and the serotonin production is always helpful. So I've used it for that as well. If you have in-range cortisol in the morning, can you still be experiencing adrenal fatigue? Of course. So here's the thing about cortisol. It goes up and down. So let's say it's normal in the morning, but an hour later it's plummeted, right? You have to look at it in a 24-hour span. Cortisol goes up and down. It changes. That's why the symptoms change, guys. That's why you think it's perimenopause or anxiety or depression or whatever, because every day isn't the same. When your day goes from every day being the same, whether that's tons of energy or no energy, to it going up and down, and I can tell you, you have a stage 2 adrenal fatigue. Okay. Up could be anxiety, down could be depression, right? Maybe some days you eat things and your gut is great and other days you don't and you blame the food. And you're like, it has to be the food, but you can't figure out which food because it doesn't seem to be consistent. Adrenal fatigue. Stage 2. I'm going to catch all you stage 2ers and I'm going to make you balanced because that's where we get lost, is in that stage 2, right? Because we don't know what's going on. So we spend hours and hours and hours and days and days and days trying to find a physician that can understand or can find the problem, and you get dismissed. You're just in your 40s. This is normal. You're probably going through perimenopause. It's probably andropause. Yeah, everyone goes through this. Yeah, are you a mom? Are you a dad? Yeah, probably just stress. I'm so tired of stress being dismissed in the medical model. I am so tired of it because it is 100% proven that it worsens every single condition we suffer from and often triggers it. That is undoubtedly the answer. Like, ask any physician, hey, does stress have a physiological impact on your heart? Does it have a physiological impact on your immune system? Does it have a physiological impact on your hormones? Everyone will say, oh yeah. Yet, you go to the doctor and you say, my hormones are out of whack, and they say, oh, probably just stress. Bye. See you next year. Ugh, drives me nuts. Okay, if it drives you nuts, tell me, does that drive you nuts? Drives me nuts as a woman, as a person, as a friend, as a mother. Like, what the heck? We got to calm down. We got to chill out. Right? Thank you for the hearts. I love it. Thank you for responding. I was managing it. Angulis and spondylitis from 2.5 years naturally. Recently, it blasted. My CRP reached 79. I take a lot of supplements like omega-3, vitamin D, vitamin 2, magnesium. Those are great. Are you addressing your stress response, though? Right? So those are replenishing nutrients. They're helping relax the muscles. They're building bone. They're lowering inflammation to a certain extent. But you could throw a ton of fish oil or omegas at inflammation, but cortisol will beat it every single time. Why? If you're in the woods and you see a bear, you're going to ditch the omegas and you're going to frickin' run. Anyone argue with that? You're going to run. And when you run, that is going to supersede everything else you're doing. It's going to downregulate digestion so you don't absorb the vitamin D, you don't absorb the omega-3s, you don't absorb the magnesium, you don't absorb the K2, right? So all of that effort that you're putting in can be lost simply by that darn bear. We have to address the bear with the supplements. It's a 4-step process, 4 areas: nutrition, exercise, supplement, and mindset. has to happen with all 4. I've been treating adrenal fatigue my entire career. If you don't do R4, you will not get to the bottom of it. You have to work on it. And it's not easy and it's not overnight, but it's not hard either if you just do a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this big, massive protocol. It just has to be awareness and attempt. Yeah? And learning and being open to learning and trying and being open to failing and not being perfect at it. That's okay too. I did a hip hop class last night, man, guys. I got home and I was so frustrated with myself. And, I dance traditional hip hop on Mondays, and that's kind of my jam, right? So on Thursdays, I'm trying to learn R&B hip hop, which is a totally different thing. And I find myself in this class frustrated every week because I feel like I go in and my head is like totally committed to learning it. And my body's like, what? And I leave and I'm so frustrated and I beat myself up. And then I have to give myself a mindset shift where I'm like, wait a minute. You just went to class on time. You went, you learned, you moved your body. You did and then I have to catch myself. I watch the video and I'm like, okay, I did one section of that really well. And I forget the rest of it. And I'm like, I didn't get the rest of it well. That's okay. I did one section really well. That's great. Next time, let's try to do a little bit more really well. Right? So fun when you're all fired up. Ha ha. I've been told I need to get fired up more often, so I'm working on it. My coffee is putting a little mucus in my throat. Oops, time to stop. Now that's another thing, right? I can have a cup of coffee. I tend to notice in my second one, I get mucus in my throat. That's my body saying, stop, don't. So I stop. A lot of people just keep drinking it. I'm tired. I'm just going to keep drinking. Hey, there's a reaction. Your body's like, that's enough. You've had enough coffee. Drop it. You guys see my mug today? Slay all day. That's my motto. I got about 10 minutes. If you guys have more questions, pop them out, okay? Coming back on, you're saying any more supplements you could add. I think look at my total stress support and my total energy, which are looking at just general immune support or general adrenal support, also immune support, and B vitamins. You really have to look at those areas. Look at my total energy turnaround program coming up as well. I think it's a valuable program to help get you guys to recognize what your body's actually saying to you so that you have a clearer picture of what to address. Because I think when we're in that stage 2, we don't know backwards from forwards. We're like, what the heck? I don't have time for this crap. I don't have time to be anxious. I don't have time to not sleep. Oh, I don't have time to be in pain. What's going on? I got things to do. This is frustrating. And you get so down on yourself. And I think we need to learn how to listen to what our body's saying. We kind of stop listening to our body. And when you slow down and you address those 4 things and allow me to guide you in that, we can figure out what it is. And when we figure out what it is, then you know what to address. When you know what to address, it becomes very simple, right? It doesn't have to be so complicated. Okay. Agreed. 200%. I love it. What about ashwagandha? What about it? I love ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is great. It is a nightshade. So if you're someone that's allergic to peppers, tomatoes, eggplant, ashwagandha is probably not for you because those are nightshades. I do tend to find, though, people that are allergic to nightshades, a lot of times I can get rid of that over time. Yeah, no, I love ashwagandha. I take ashwagandha every night. What I love about ashwagandha is that it's a great balance of both. So it helps bring up the cortisol a little bit, but helps bring it down a little bit. It keeps it in balance. It also has pretty good impact on hormones, thyroid, immune function. It's a fabulous adaptogen. Yeah, I take it every night. And it's in my supplements. You'll see it in my supplements. You'll see it in my total energy. You'll see it in my total stress support for a reason, because it's awesome. And I have an article on ashwagandha at drpingle.com if you want to read the actual statistics and the research behind it. So all the articles on my website, guys, I have a hair in my mouth. Fun. Ha! All the articles on my website quote research articles. So I try to look at where the research has been and then speak to my clinical experience as well. So you'll find a lot of fun stuff there. Aaron asks over on Facebook, which oil do you think would be better to put on the skin to warm up, ginger oil or the cayenne? Cayenne is really irritating to the skin. So I wouldn't ever put an essential oil directly on the skin, Aaron. I would definitely dilute it, maybe in a fractionated coconut oil, jojoba oil, almond oil, something. And I would probably go with ginger before cayenne. Cayenne will actually specifically make something red, and that's its goal. And there's times when you want to do that. I would probably do cayenne more internally, like sprinkle it on food, put it in a juice, that type of thing, to warm you up, along with ginger. Okay. The hot cayenne might be too much. I agree with you. I think start a little bit simpler than that. Right. The other thing that can warm you up when you're really cold is movement, exercise, getting the blood flow, right? You are a good dancer and create awesome energy for us all. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, it's fun. I really like it. I just find it, but I do find that you could be good at something and you still beat yourself up about it. And because you're not doing it perfect, or you're not doing it as you see it in your head. And sometimes we just have to sit back and say, we gave it a go. It was fun. I haven't posted my video from last night because I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, ooh, gosh, Trisha, like that did not go like we wanted it to go. Do I post it? Do I post the struggle bus? I don't know. Trying to be more real. It's hard. Hip hop is hard. R&B hip hop is harder because it's slow. So you have to hit the moves just at the right time, or it just does. And it just looks like you're doing nothing. So I don't know. Are you personally a perfectionist? Great question. I'm a recovered perfectionist. I am no longer a perfectionist, no. And I'm great with that. For me, it comes down to I give my day 100% effort and 100% intention. So if I'm like, okay, I'm intending to do this, if I went into something with the right intention and the right energy and I gave it what I could and it doesn't come out perfect, that's okay with me. Because who defines perfect? Me, right? So I'm just changing what perfect is. Right? Perfect may not be perfect anymore. I'm perfectly imperfect and I love it. I actually had a colleague of mine at one point say, that's a great line for you. You are perfectly imperfect. And I was like, I am, because it's really about the attitude that I have towards it more so than the result, right? As long as I'm making strides and I'm getting better and revisiting and keep growing and keep changing, it's okay with me. I think once you hit perfect, you have nowhere to go. And, change comes in discomfort. When you're uncomfortable, it means you're changing, which is good. If everything's comfortable and everything's perfect and everything's going your way, you have nowhere to improve. Absolutely none. And that's a problem for me. I don't want to go through my life not being able to improve. I want to improve, which means I'm going to screw up and I'm going to say things I shouldn't say. And things are going to happen to me that I don't want to happen to me, but that's okay. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to keep moving forward, right? Make sense? So true, right? Sounds like a winner. Keep it up because your positivity is fantastic. Thank you. And I do have negative days, guys, and I don't come out and talk about those a lot. I have recorded a couple. There are days where really hard. I miss my mom, I miss people I love, and it's really, really, really hard. There's another saying out there that says, pick your hard, right? Some people say being healthy is hard, but I think being sick is harder. Pick your hard, right? I don't think being healthy is hard. I think it just takes a mindset shift, right? If you're always looking to nourish your body, it isn't hard to nourish your body. It's actually quite easy to nourish your body. It's just we have these things that we put in our head where we're like, oh, we got to have dairy. Oh, we got to have sugar. Oh, we just need a little dessert. Oh, let's just have some cookies, It's like, okay, well, do you really need them? Are they nourishing your body? It's really not that hard. It's a struggle. It can be a struggle. It's a learning curve. Do you have any favorite DIY tinctures? Ooh, good question, Steve. Well, I love burdock root. So I used to put together a tincture for people that were having trouble sleeping. They were just kind of like on edge when they went to bed. And this is probably one of my favorite tinctures. I would combine 1 part passiflora, 1 part valerian, 1 part lavandula or lavender, and 1 part burdock root. That's probably my favorite tincture. Take it at bedtime. Talk to your physician first before doing it. You did not hear that from me. Okay. Hey, guess what, guys? Time's up. Oh, wait, I had a question about castor oil or castor oil for dilution as a base. Yeah, for the essential oils, yeah, it's just really sticky. Castor oil is just really sticky, so it sticks to your clothes, and I don't like castor oil on my clothes. So, if you're trying to warm up and you're wanting to put clothing on, castor oil can kind of be a problem, right? But I guess other oils could too. So you might want to put a towel over the castor oil and then your clothes. And then suggestions for chronic plantar fasciitis. Not something I deal with regularly, but some of the things that I've learned in Pilates and physical therapy and things, obviously the tennis ball under the tendon on the foot where you roll it back and forth. Pilates on the Reformer has an opening exercise that pretty much every single day you do. And it's putting your feet on the bar and you're extending out and bringing them in. And you start in a Pilates V like this, where your toes, the knuckles are on the bar. And then you bring them up so your heels are on the bar. And then you bring it where they're kind of cupped over the bar, and you're really pushing along that bridge of that tendon and opening up the feet by going back and forward. I think it's really about opening up the feet. You may have to warm your feet first because a lot of times they cramp. But those types of things are what I would recommend for that, and stretching it. And, also looking at the alignment above the feet, right? Why are we having it in the first place? Are your muscles really tight? Are you deficient in magnesium? That's another thing to consider. There's a lot of different considerations there too as to the why. The actual opening up of the foot, you actually have to open up that foot. In fact, I've been doing that on the Reformer, and my shoe size have changed because my feet are now in better alignment. So I used to be able to cram my little feet into these little shoes and walk around. I can't do that anymore because I've opened up these knuckles to all make contact with the ground when I walk. And when you do that, it changes the shape of your feet in a good way, right? Okay, do I have thoughts on lysine or vitamin K? Lysine's great for antivirals, particularly herpes viruses. I use it quite a bit for that. Vitamin K, you make your own vitamin K in your gut. So it really comes down to gut health and your diet. So if you're eating leafy greens and nuts and seeds and you have a really healthy gut flora, you may not need to supplement vitamin K, Valerian root is my favorite. I take it before bed if I'm feeling wound up. Yes, I will end on that. When I was in medical school, we had to make our own herbal something. It had to be a syrup or a tincture or a salve or something like that. And we had to extract the medicine out of the herb, and we had to put it into some sort of medium. And what I made was a cherry valerian syrup, and it was so good. So I boiled the valerian root, decocted the medicine out of the root, mixed it with pure 100% cherry juice and a little bit of sugar, melted that down and made it into this lovely syrup that was so good. That was pure valerian. And I actually need to go back and make that again. That was one of my favorite projects in medical school. I really enjoyed making my own herbal, salves and tinctures and things like that. That was a lot of fun. All right. Well, hey, another Friday down. If you missed it, next round of Total Energy Turnaround Group Program starts April 1st. If you want to stay in the loop on that, go to the website. It's in my link in bio, or you can go to thetotalenergyturnaround.com and add yourself to the wait list. That way, you will make sure that you get the information about when the cart's going to open, any of the information about it, which should be coming down in late February, early March. You'll start to get emails then. For those of you that are already signed up on that list and you're like, gosh, Dr. Pingle, I haven't heard a thing. It's coming. It's just, I don't like to over email because during the time, obviously during those weeks of promotion, I email a lot more. So I like to give you guys breaks so you're not like having 1,000 emails all the time. So we're on a little bit of a break from the email chain, but it'll kick back in to start announcing that in late February. And I will be here next Friday, ready for more questions. And thank you to all of you for having a little fun with me today, enjoying just the chat. You guys are awesome. And see you next week. Bye.